Welcome back to the Cat and Cloud podcast. We're wrapping up our series of episodes that are helpful with a topic that can be put into practice by anyone: welcoming someone into your space. Setting the right tone for how a guest spends their time in your cafe is one of the most crucial steps you can take. For us, we have a specific system we use called the 7 steps of service. Now, you might be like I was when hearing something like the 7 steps of service and think that they're 7 tips to ensure the best service. But in reality, they're the first steps taken that set up everything else. It's a system that highlights how intentionality is deeply rooted in the experiences that people have every day, and it's something that is helpful when running any business, not just a coffee shop. All right, here's Chris and Jared and myself talking about the 7 steps of service. Enjoy.
I told you I got roasted by my friends about our podcast.
Because we record outside?
Yeah, they're like, dude, you guys are gangsters. You're recording outside? What's the deal?
Somebody calls you a gangster and you say that's being roasted?
It wasn't in the coolest. It was just like, I mean, I guess on one end it's a compliment. Like, you guys get it done.
Yeah.
On the other end, it's, you have this incredibly established business and you record in the parking lot. It's this kind of funny juxtaposition, which is great.
Nose goes. Nose goes. Do you have a card for us today, or just
I don't have a
general
card.
strategy of chatting?
I wanted this to be two-parter.
Two-parter?
Two-parter?
No, not two-parter.
You're
but
claiming two-parter already?
Yeah. Not two-parter as far as episodes, but two-parter as far as
Dead Reckoning 1 and 2.
There was an email in the podcast email account, and somebody was saying how we mentioned the 7 steps of service.
We did.
And then they asked, what are they? So I was curious if we could run through what we call the 7 steps of service.
Hi.
And then I have a second question about them after we go through them.
Hello. Hi. Hello. Hi.
So if you guys want to tell me.
Hi. How's it going?
Good.
That's step 1. Just did it. Did that blow your mind? It's a greeting.
Yeah, it's a 7 steps of service is a system that we run every guest through to make sure that they have the best experience possible and to make sure we can attend to their needs, make them feel comfortable. And it's important to note that the steps are 7 steps. It's not a script in the way that, you go into a big corporate chain and every single person has to say the exact same thing every time. You've got a little wiggle room to be yourself and be authentic.
And these kind of things are more important than you might realize. Guest experience, if they're coming through many times through, they want something relatively consistent. They want to know what to expect, like Chris said. And that's why a script like this matters. And as well as operationally, right? So you have a few things. You have like an ask. You have a greeting. You have an ask. And we could literally walk through this one by one, but hi, how's it going? Right? What can I get for you? You need these are all things. What are you here for? You're here for something. So
step 1 is a greeting. The first
step
step
is a greeting.
The first of 7.
Hello.
Greeting.
Yep. The second step is what can I get for you? And then you get to find out, what can I get for you? And you're sitting there and you're having a conversation with them. They're telling you whatever it might be. A latte, a cappuccino, whatever the case may be, right? Then you can kind of prompt to the next thing. Are you going to have that for here? Are you going to take it with you?
Well, can we pause?
Yeah, always.
Let's break it out further.
Break it out further.
Please.
We could just dive into the nitty-gritty because I think there's these little things with each step that seem simple,
but they're not.
They are and they're not. So
they're intentional.
For the greeting, it's not. It is. Yeah. Hi. How are you? Welcome in. What's going on? However you want to do it. But we have something that we use called the 2-step rule. So if any guest within the first 2 steps of coming into the cafe, they need to have a greeting within that time. So you don't want someone to walk into the cafe, not be greeted in any way. They've been standing in line. They've been there for 3 minutes, 4 minutes, however long, and nobody sees them. So that's part of the greeting, right? And then another part of the greeting, the biggest part of the greeting for me is eye contact, because a greeting is not a greeting unless it's directed at a human being. And we see this when the first step goes wrong, where let's say you have a busy bar, line out the door, and the barista's working and they're just kind of heads down still. Hey, welcome in. And they're not even looking up. And that's frustrating because it's completely impersonal to where that's when scripts go wrong because you're doing the thing, you're checking off the box but you're missing the spirit of what that is for, which is to connect with someone and welcome them into our space, help them feel seen.
Yeah. So two-step will happen regardless of if you're standing in front of somebody or not, but you're still going to get a greeting individually. And to Chris's point, smile, eye contact, pleases, thank yous, common courtesy, stuff like that are really important gestures you can add to a hospitality experience like that. And then, if you're asking for what you'd like, that is the simplest portion. You're going to ask somebody what they would like to have.
That's step 2.
That's step 2.
What can we get for you?
What can we get for you? And that one is kind of semi-self-explanatory.
Yeah.
There's a section later that kind of builds in a buffer to that, right? Anything else for you is a great opportunity next to specific step. And that is an opportunity to remind somebody. And again, this is a script. You're open. So what do you want to do? You can either say, hey, would you like to try? You can just, if you're that kind of person, right? Oh, we have whole bean, or it's First Friday, 10%. Or you can say, is there anything else for you? And a lot of times,
else gives you an opportunity to kind of expand or experience.
And for the guest, it also is like, if you're in a rush, oh yeah, actually I forgot I need to get a pastry. Oh yeah, I forgot I need to get, oh shoot, I almost missed it, which is great. So you're making sure that they've had a moment.
I like anything else because it's an open door where it is that memory jog like you're talking about. And then for the organization, it's also the classiest way to do an upsell without an upsell, because all you're doing is opening the door for them. Where one of the things that I never really liked was I'd go in and I'd say, oh, someone's like, what can I get for you? I was like, I'll have a cappuccino. And they're like, do you want a pastry with that? I'm like, well, I didn't order a pastry, so no, I actually don't want a pastry with that. And it's such a direct ask that it's really off-putting for me. But if I came in and ordered a cappuccino and someone said, anything else? Maybe I'll be like, oh, maybe, yeah, actually, sure, yeah, I do want a pastry, So it's just a cool, open, soft landing.
The illusion of
like.
choice.
Well, no, it is choice. It's someone's being attentive to your needs again, but you're able to direct it. It's not like they're trying to cram you into this thing. I bought a hard drive yesterday, had to go over to Best Buy and, just had to grab one on the fly. And it's just like, do you have the membership with us? No, I just want the hard drive. Would you like to sign up for one with us? No, I just want the hard drive. You get 10% off this. I just want a hard drive. I'm trying to get home to do some work. Like, just sell me this hard drive.
Like at the movie theater, you used to go, would you like to go large for $1 or a quarter more? Just a quarter more. And then you just like, thank you. No, I want the size I asked for.
I asked for what I wanted. Yeah, thank you very much. So, and what else is great, because it's this open question. The guest gets to drive the interaction, and it jogs their memory. Because a lot of times you do forget things where it's like, oh shit, yeah, I'm supposed to bring home coffee for my wife. Thank you for that. I will have a large coffee to go as well. Step 4 is for here to go. We're having this for here. You're taking it for everywhere.
Ta-da!
Ta-da! So for here to go,
it's an accuracy opportunity.
It's an accuracy opportunity, and a lot of people make assumptions. I've gone to coffee shops where they just automatically put something in a to-go cup, or they automatically put something for here, or they automatically do certain things one way and certain things the other way. Again, we're just going down this clarity thing. And then once you hear that, whether it's for here to go, there's some things that you can take action on right away, to where it's like, if there's a pastry in the order and you're right by the pastry case, you can start putting things either on bags or on plates. If there's brewed coffee, you can grab those and do double duty at the same time. You're not just standing there.
Yeah.
Right.
Your list goes on and on.
Yeah. You can start prepping literal things and start prepping, like, what am I going to do after this transaction?
And you're
is
absolutely
over?
present through that whole moment, which is cool. You're listening, you're attentive, you're there. And that's beautiful.
Yeah.
If you're a barista and you're listening as well, you can get started, which I would do many times over. I'd get started on the shots necessary for whatever drinks are coming and put them in their appropriate packages.
Yeah.
So we have that portion. And then the next is identifying the human being or the ordered name, right? So this is different than, it's not different, but we used to call out drinks, right? Call out drinks. Hey, 3 lattes on the bar, ready to go. A lot of people get the same drink. This is really an opportunity to make sure that the order is for the person. So the world has also changed, and I used to call out these names, but it would be, for instance, like the order's for Stan, but Stan got their coffee and went sat down, and actually the drinks are for, their partner, Lucy.
Yeah.
So it's like, hey, what's this order? I would always make it fun. It doesn't have to go like this, but coming up with a name and identifier for the order is great. I would say, what's the team name for this one or something like that to
Team Stan.
I'd say Team Stan, because that's also, in my opinion, an opportunity to make the order about a group of people and not one individual. So again, though, it's a name, it's related to accuracy. Once again, for here to go is an accuracy opportunity. The next portion is accuracy of the order for the person who did it. And there is the opportunity, again, to recap that order. Like
and it's
you said.
all, every drink is basically the same in the cafe. At any given time, there's 6 lattes on the bar, like back to back to back to back to back.
Right.
So that whole, is this my latte thing?
Like, are
Funny
you
little
Team
meme,
Stan?
but yeah, that's for real. So it's like, latte!
Yeah.
Latte! Was that my latte? Well, it's a latte!
Is this my latte, Jonathan
Well, I
Weathers?
had a latte with an ad shot. I don't know. It's like, dude, okay.
Shameless,
Michael Weiser, your order's ready.
shameless plug. We have a barista tips video on take a name, not a drink.
Take a name, dude.
Take a name.
I'm all out
check
here
it
just
out
kicking
on
ass and
YouTube.
taking names.
It's just better. So, step 5, take a name. Step 6 is communicating the total and taking payment.
Recapping the
Bonus
order.
points for recapping the order to where it's okay, cool. Sticky bun. What would I get? I would get a sticky bun, a blueberry buckwheat scone,
Cappuccino.
concierge choice.
Oh, concierge
Yep,
choice.
Yeah,
coffee
as
for
in
here.
Gibraltar.
Yeah.
Mm.
And then I'll have an espresso, but I'm gonna get that later. 13. How much does coffee cost right now? $500, sir.
$566.42.
$500 plus
How much is it?
25% tip.
I would, yeah. I'm just
Thank
going to
you.
do one more thing, and that's flip the screen for you to look at. 25 or else, or bust.
And then the last and 7th step is thanking the guest and guiding them to where they need to be. Where, that could just be like, cool, thank you so much. Your drink's going to pop out right over there. Jared's going to have your drink ready in just a couple of minutes. And it's so annoying when you don't know where to wait for your stuff. Or if you're at a cafe like Swift, where we're at now, we have food and coffee. It's like, how does the food work? Do I pick up the food at the bar? Do you bring me the food? So it's just really easy. Like, here's your number. Your number's 2. We're going to come find you at your table for your food. Jared's going to have your drink up on the bar right over there. You can go grab it.
I think there's multiple things to that. There's the intro level, which is exactly what we need from somebody who's new here to not overwhelm them.
Yeah.
Which is the base level, and exactly what Chris said. Hey, this is this. It's going to come out right over here. But there's building blocks upon the hospitality opportunity, some of which I think we do need to work on, maybe some clearer signage of like, hey, bus bins, things like that are nice. I totally actually think we do. There's also the portion where a team member can take one more step and be like, I got you your coffee, cream and sugar, lids right over here and here at every cafe. Like, this is, to me, that's the simplest win. Drinks are going to come out right over there, and you can point in the direction. And that, to me, is a simple level up that we could take ourselves to as a concierge every single cafe. So that is it. And then collecting the money and see you later, alligator. Smile, thank you, eye contact one more time.
Yeah.
It's going to be a real nice day. Great to have you.
So those are
R7.
Those are our 7 steps of service.
Yeah.
The 7. So the follow-up question for me is, it's kind of a discussion, because when I was looking at these, the first thing I thought when I saw them was, this just looks like an SOP on how to take an order.
Sure.
Because I heard 7 steps of service, and for me, I thought that should cover everything in the cafe. But when I finally looked at it, this is about to be a rad showdown between big truck and little truck. Oh.
This is when we get roasted by my podcast friends.
It's okay. He's about to hit the yellow pole, and it's going to be
Why
even
don't you
worse.
just take this soundbite and put it over that beeping, right? And just put it over moments when we're thinking.
It's like our Jeopardy music.
Yeah, exactly. Use it to our advantage.
But when I was originally looking at them, I thought that they were something bigger. I haven't been through our retail process,
Sure.
so I didn't know. So when I heard 7 steps of service, I thought, oh, from the moment a guest comes in our doors to the moment they leave, the 7 steps of service should cover like their whole time here. And then when I finally read them, I thought, this is just an SOP for taking somebody's order.
Yeah.
Is that true?
It's an SOP plus. 7
because
steps
there's
of
so
service.
much intention.
Well,
I think
so-
there's yeah.
You can go further than that, but it's where it sits is specifically in concierge training. And
Yeah.
the concierge are a elevated version of what people would say the till or the drawer or a red job. Like we're expecting an elevated version. So 7 steps of service and taking an order is what you are asking about.
Mhm.
I think
You,
that's
as
the
somebody who's
perfect way to
outside
put it.
looking in, maybe could decide to go that route if you want what you just did, but like that means that you're kind of missing
What and I don't
the context, and so much of our work requires context. That's back to what we were talking about at
Yeah.
the beginning of this. It's like the context of having a special drink at a cafe makes sense to me, as it doesn't the context of switching up how an operating procedure goes across the board because there's maybe a specific need in an area of like a portion of a department. They're not the same thing. There's so much context to this stuff. Personally, not even personally, I think everywhere you got to really like look at the bigger picture and mix it with a smaller picture.
I think you hit the nail on the head when you're saying 7 steps of service is in this context of you're a new hire, you're in concierge training. This is how we run the concierge station. But when Wiser, you're asking where does that end and hospitality begin? It doesn't work like that. You know, hospitality is baked into everything we do, as are the rest of our values and our mission. So you could take any slice of our training and education, whether that's concierge stuff, Coffee 101, or higher level leadership stuff, and a slice should reflect all of those values as a whole. So if you're looking at those things, you know, hospitality is the first and foremost, but if you're looking at even just something like artistry, you know, we've been using that example. It's like there's a million different ways to ring people up. There's people who push buttons on the register, and then there's a concierge who makes this register work into their art and navigates it with such not just enthusiasm, but also professionalism, to where they're not only making it fun, but they're making it faster and flows in a really certain way. And that's why this is not simply a checklist or SOP of how to work register, because that would be that scripted thing. Hi, welcome to McDonald's. What can I get for you? Would you like to add fries with that for $1? Would you know, and so forth and so on. Is we do have this room to play and connect with the person that we're looking at in a way that's natural, and to be able to meet the guest where they're at, which everyone's in a different place. And the people who really kick ass at guest service are able to see that and respond to it. So you might have one server in a restaurant with 4 tables, and they're treating each of those tables a little bit differently because of the energy of the table, what that table's expecting, and that's magical.
Yeah. I think, again, for me, the context, I always just thought of it as like, we are known for having great service. And so when I hear something called 7 steps of service, I think that should apply to all the times in which I think we are giving service. And so for me, it was kind of a shock to go, oh, this only has to do, this thing that I keep hearing about only has to do with this one area. Like, I would expect if I heard 7 steps of service, I'd be like, water checks, you know, things like that. Like, I would assume stuff like that is on there, stuff that covers the whole time that the person is engaging with us.
There's a whole other thing, though, that I think a lot of people miss, and that's in order to deliver something, it's not even the antithesis. It's exactly what Chris is saying. And we have to do our best job with all of our tenure and our experience over the 20 some odd years of hospitality to allow people who have no experience in this have touch points that matter.
Yeah.
Right? So much of our work is taking all of this comprehensive and complex shit and making it simple enough to digest at an intro level without overwhelming our team, and having it be a consistent building block, because that is awesome. All of that baked in opportunity to be autonomous still needs to play within some form of clarity and framework that we can teach relatively quickly. You know, this is for a lot of people an intro level job. It's a stop through. So we want them to build skills, get better, but to be able to replicate amazing hospitality, artistry, all that experience. And that to me is where the genius of most companies is, or maybe could fall short, because you have to show people what this stuff is. Oh yeah, grinding. You have to show people what this is without making it robotic.
Yeah.
At the same time, it has to be specific enough that somebody
Yeah.
can learn it, who maybe has never experienced the nuances of, oh yeah, it feels good is like going out and offering a water check. Like we probably have to set that somewhere and be like, hey, go do a water. Go see if anybody wants water. Or when you're bussing a cafe, right? Hospitality related. Full hands in, full hands out. Full hands out, full hands in. That means you take something out to somebody, you set it all down, but while you're out there, you bring your towel and you clean up and you bring something and you put it away and you make the space better.
Yeah.
Full hands out, full hands in is just a reminder of what does it mean to do that? It means you go out, you wipe a condiment stand, hopefully, you restock it, you say hi to people, you do all of these things, but your reminder is full hands out, full hands in.
Put out some fires.
Sure. Like
Yeah.
the thing is the list is endless, but you can't ask somebody, and you need to build to being able to ask somebody to do all of those things in the walkout. In your first week, full hands out, full hands in. A win could be you walked everything out and you said hi to somebody and you remembered to wipe something down.
Yeah.
So it's like, sure, if you wanted to try to break down every single opportunity on the table, you have a huge ass list that you could say is way more than 7 steps to service. But our job is to make this stuff manageable. And it won't be unless you create really specific and intentional building blocks along the way. And there's a lot of them, but I think they're 4 levels up. And that's kind of what we're experiencing and working on now. You should all do that at your own cafes as well. There's specific things you need to do, and they're very overarchingly straightforward, right? You have a place where somebody takes an order. You have a place where somebody makes some stuff, maybe multiple places. You have a place for people to like hang out and sit or not. And you have a place for them to pick up the stuff. And it's not as simple as that, but in general, like those are kind of your overarching deliverables. You have humans, a space, and the equipment you use, and guests, right? In some capacity, and then you kind of have to play with that.
I kind of thought you were going to keep going and just start listing off a bunch of stuff.
Oh, I mean, those are kind of like if you have canvases to paint on, you know, those are kind of them. So that's where you have to break it down as specifically as you can without micromanaging, I think. Which, no, I don't think a lot of people like to think about that. They get overwhelmed in that concept. And they're like, ugh, I don't like it.
How are you feeling, Chris?
I feel great.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Good.
What's the second part of your question?
Well, that was the first part was, what is the 7 steps of service? And the second part was, does it apply to more than just taking the order? Because, again, like I said, for me, the context when I first learned of it was just, oh, this seems like a big thing that we rely on that is actually just a very, very narrow part of the time that the guest is in our cafe.
It's huge, though. It is a big thing that we rely on, but it's how the guest lands in the cafe. So sure, it doesn't encompass like, what you were talking about is like the whole time, and I thought it encompassed the whole time, and sure, maybe that's like the 5,000 steps of service, right? Like, what the fuck? Where it's, there is hospitality built into that barista training. Well, how does it look to serve someone a drink? But I think you've got this really small window of time when you get a guest into the building that it's impossible to recover from if you do it wrong. Because like if I go in somewhere and I'm not greeted in any meaningful way, and the beginning of the interaction is just fumbly and haphazard, and I get the idea that these people don't value my time, it almost doesn't matter how good the product is coming out the back. It doesn't matter what the barista says to me. It doesn't matter when the food comes out, like, how delicious it is or whatever. I'm just like, these people don't care. They don't care about me. Maybe they care about their craft, maybe, but they certainly don't care about me or my money or my time or anything. So it is that soft landing for the guest that is sending that bigger brand message that's like, hey, we really give a shit and we take this seriously and we respect your time and we respect that you've chosen to be a part of the journey, be a part of our journey, or we're excited to be a part of your journey is really what it is. And if you don't have something that sets that up, it's going to be a bummer.
Yeah, to the other layers, you're talking about something that we and most companies could lean into more too, which is language and cultural language. And what do we use for what,
Well, that was the thing, because, again, like I said, I hadn't been through the retail
Yeah.
process at Cat and Cloud. So to hear language of 7 steps of service and then run it through the filters of my brain of like, oh, well, this is what service is.
Yeah.
It was just and that's why I'm not trying to say like I'm right in my assumptions. I'm trying to get the clarity on it and the share the intention, because I think it is something that's powerful.
Yeah.
And
My
I
gut
think it
feeling is that if you had been through concierge training, it would make perfect sense to you.
Sure.
Right.
But it's a thing that means another thing, right?
Yeah.
FIFO, first in, first out. That means something with a subset. So does full hands in, full hands out. It means something. 7 steps to service means something.
Mm-hmm.
These all mean something. So
Yeah.
that there is language to be involved with, but it is specific to, and this is a fair, like what we talked about today is important and valuable for anybody should they decide to use it for their business, right? They could just say, hey, this is the 7 steps, whatever, the 7, you can call it whatever the fuck you want at a register. This is the 7 points of contact, the 7 statements we use, the 7 things. It doesn't matter. Like for us, it's been the 7 steps of service because it's 7 steps of service on the first interaction that you're going to have with somebody beyond the 2-step rule, right? 2-step rule, everybody gets a greeting. The overall concept, everybody gets a greeting. 2-step rule is within 2 steps, right? It's a little bit more specific, but it's not over managing every single person in the world to do like, for instance, Chris didn't say this. Everybody in the cafe doesn't have to do that. You know what I'm saying? It's not like 12 people have to say hi to the same person.
Which is annoying in its own way.
Yeah.
Right? But if, the 2-step rule could theoretically mean, just if you wanted to open it up, everybody has to do that. So there's 6 people on the floor. They all have to say hi within 2 steps. And all of a sudden it's like, hi, 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 hi.
Yeah, that's a good distinction that I didn't make earlier, which
you
is the
don't have to.
2-step
That's kind of my
rule
point.
and the greeting in the 7 steps aren't necessarily the same thing, but they could be depending on the situation.
And they're concepts.
Yeah.
That you have to everything you still have to manage and lead with whatever.
All of these things that you're talking about, 7 steps of service, full hands, they all are tools to help deliver the quality of service that we want to deliver to our guests.
And we have cultural language specific to us that we communicate by using 7 steps, like I said, 7 steps of service. I guarantee you that some of these other companies that are awesome and large have a similar steps of service that they call something different.
Yep.
Right? Because somebody has to have that. We're not the only people in the world who have a concept like that.
Yep.
And that's more what I mean, right?
Great. I think the important thing here was just breaking down like that lingo.
Yeah, absolutely. And I do think that's valuable. And I genuinely believe that people need to come up with their own version. I mean, we came up with concierge because it was our own, it's a hotel term a lot of the time, right? Or other places, but we use it because of the
concierge desk.
Yeah, it means something here that it means to us.
Yeah. And a similar thing was, we did another video with Mark talking about, batching tasks on bar. And somebody said, oh, that's great. Do you have do a video for batching tasks in the cafe? And I said, well, you know about 5s?
Right.
And they were like, what is that? And I'm like, well, this is how we use it.
Right.
You could use it in your own thing. Anyway.
No, I think that's wise.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's like taking these things that we use, and that's the whole reason why I want to do this one.
And I love that. And I think there's a lot of power to that, like Chris said. I think that's something that everybody should be able to grab, right? If somebody tries to take 5s and be like, yeah, we do 5s now, it might not culturally resonate with their company, but the concept could make a lot of sense.
They could use it to make sense for their culture, and their values.
And that's what I think the best, or everybody should be doing.
Cool.
It's called learning.
Hey everyone, that's the podcast for the week. Thanks so much for listening. If you heard something that inspired you, let us know, or tell a friend. These are the types of connections that are the most important to us and that we seek to create every day. If there's something you heard and you want to know more about, send us an email to podcast@catandcloud.com or head to our website, catandcloud.com/podcast, and let us know. While you're on our site, check out everything we have to offer. Dive deep into one of our single origin coffees or pick up a little treat for yourself. We have something for everyone, so check it out. Also, find us in the usual places, YouTube, Instagram. We're always there sharing amazing things. All right, that's it. Thanks everyone for being awesome. We'll be back next week.